All right, we should be starting things up for our next live show here on the Game Wisdom channel. I am Josh Beiser. Welcome to Game Wisdom Live, or whatever our fancy title. We still need to come up with something there. But my guest, of course, or my co-host is indie game developer Sharky. How are you doing, and are you still trapped inside like me?
Trapped inside. What are you talking about? There's an outside?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the rest of the world is going to hell, and we're still stuck inside doing work.
Yeah, I mean, it's like for me, personally, nothing's pretty much changed. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, things have changed around me, but more specifically with my parents downstairs and trying to get them prepared, kind of thing. But me, like besides just trying to keep stuff a little bit more stocked up, nothing's changed.
Mm-hmm.
You
I got
know,
an annoying cough, but I don't think that's corona because I'm not showing any other symptoms. I think that could either be cold or allergy or both. So, fingers crossed, or we'll be having some kind of emergency stream maybe real soon.
yeah. It's kind of weird when you find out the thing that you've been doing this entire time was actually called social distancing.
Mm-hmm. They just came with a fancy name for it.
Yeah.
But a lot of things still going on regardless. I've played. There are too many games for me to play this week. We're up to what 40 now between the indie games I've been demoing, and we got another 30 next week for our actual indie spotlight. But how are you catching up on things?
Uh well, I'm we're making some good progress in Project Ride, which is good. Actually, I think we're making amazing progress right now, and we're on track to the most epic dev chat and the longest dev chat ever
Uh oh.
next 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 dev chat, which will be the first Saturday of the month, the 4th, May 4th, or April 4th, rather.
So it's gonna be like a 24-hour cast then for you.
Maybe,
Alright.
maybe if my mom will let me do it, she'll probably have a problem with me going past supper. But
Just take a 30-minute break and then go right
yeah,
back to it.
there we go. Actually, don't even need that because all I need to do is probably just go downstairs and get it, kind of thing, and bring it back upstairs.
There you
So
go.
maybe like a 5 minute break.
But there's certainly at least some interesting news going on this week, one of which will be kind of the lead into one of our topics as well. So, before we get to that, I guess anything else popping up news related for you, Shark, that you're interested in?
Well, the whole demo thing that you were talking about, like that whole thing, really rubs me the wrong way, kind of thing. Like limited time demos. It's only available for these 3 days to play the demo. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what?
And it's another very odd marketing promo. I could see if the games were free to play for 2 to 3 days or 24 hours or whatever. But
Hmm.
like some of the stuff we were playing, it was maybe like 5 minutes of content at most.
Yeah, it's just a demo, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and a demo should not be free for a limited time. A demo should be free forever
Mm-hmm.
because that's kind of the point behind a demo. Like I mean, like this is just one step above paying for a demo.
Mm-hmm. Or paying to get a game like 2 days early or whatever.
Yeah, like it's definitely on the dirty side. Like I do not like it.
Mm. And it's definitely an issue with just again like how do you promote these games? Because there are some games that are on that Festival of Games list that didn't have demos. Like, you couldn't play them at all, which makes very little sense there.
So it's free for the next 24 hours, but it's a free nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's even worse.
I mean, it's great that they kind of consolidated these games for promotional purposes, but it kind of feels like it would have been better just to say, here are all these amazing games, demos now up, kind of thing.
Yeah, and not to mention that there's a limited time aspect. There's the fact that some of them don't even have demos, and then there's the fact that a lot of them seem pretty low quality.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just like the trifecta of messed up things, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Apparently seems to get good with its sale periods, because there's another sale for games that won GDC, and a lot of those games aren't even on sale.
Mm.
They're just
I
listed
mean,
there, I guess, in spirit.
like I mean, what they should have done is they should have just said, "Oh, we're email to everybody, that every developer kind of thing. We're going to start a sale, a Corona sale. Who wants to pitch in on it? And
Mm-hmm.
then anybody who's able and wants to pitch on it can participate in that sale, and then they do a special promotion for that sale kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Because I mean, that's what they do for all the other sales. They just generally give you like 3, 4, 5 months advance warning to it, except for the one right before my last game released, where they gave us 2 days
Mm-hmm.
warning, and
Yep.
the Steam sale ended like a week before my game released, and that definitely screwed me over
Mm. Yeah.
because they were trying. They did that delay to try. They were experimenting, trying to stop their release dates from leaking, and their experiment,
Mm-hmm.
was definitely one of the things that cost my game its life.
Mm.
I mean, the not being visually appealing enough was another thing. Probably the bigger thing, but that certainly hurt quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we're going to have to see like what else. Like the Steam algorithm just seems to be very odd. Like it was recommending me games like. Again, I told you some of the games are like, oh, because you play Dark Souls, you'll enjoy this dating game.
Yeah, they redid the recommending system, and apparently they made it worse
Mm-hmm. Or it's just
instead of
drunk. Maybe
better.
it has a virus too.
Maybe it caught the coronavirus.
Mm-mm. Maybe that's how I got sick from Steam.
Maybe.
But let's get to our first topic, because I think we got two very meaty ones this week. And let's talk about reviews, and then we'll go. Oh wait, actually, let's get to the.
News topic.
Yeah, let's get to that one. Let me make sure here. also have to update the title here really fast. So, while I'm updating the title here, let me make sure I got everything here. Good. The big game release this week, of course, has been Doom Eternal. And Doom Eternal has once again been critically and probably commercially reviewed really well. And then, but the Bethesda kind of did like the Kool-Aid Man smashing through the wall to wreck things situation here.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Thank you. My voice is dying, so I can't do that right now. And they ran into a pretty much a self-inflicted wound there. Oh yeah, Animal Crossing, but there's no controversy to Animal Crossing, right? Other than I think people saying it's like socialism or it's capitalism. I forget that what like Twitter is blowing up there with Animal Crossing. Incidentally, there is a very great completely polarized game releases. We have Animal Crossing, the nice, cute, and cuddly game, and then Doom Eternal, where you rip people apart. There's probably something about a tone there as a topic, but I don't think we can do that now.
I mean, what if we take and combine the two games, like
I think they've already
Animal
done that.
Eternal or Doom Crossing,
There you go.
where you play as cute animals that are ripping each other apart?
Or the Doom guy goes to kill Tom Nook for selling him crappy land.
Yeah,
There we go. But with Bethesda, we have kind of a double whammy here. So the first thing is that if you don't buy it, actually, let me double check this myself, that if you don't buy it on Steam, you are required to use their Bethesda Net Launcher. Supports linking to Steam account, okay.
I think
And
you're
nobody
required to
really
use it
liked
either way.
that. What was that?
I think you're required to use it either way.
Oh, lovely. But it was discovered pretty much at launch that Bethesda not only is using Bethesda.net, but they're using a Denuvo copy protection. Which for me, it doesn't bother me all that much, but it's still, again, people don't like DRM, especially in today's market. And it was discovered that the version that was available, like minute one, had no copy protection whatsoever. And if you
Well, it
thought,
did,
what was that?
but it didn't. It did and it didn't at the same time.
Oh, good. Is that safely extreme or just
Yeah,
stupidly stupid?
it's stupidly stupid.
Okay. And if you would to guess that pirates would make real use of that opportunity, you would be right. And again, it's one of those situations of why have that DRM in the first place?
Yeah, I mean they so with the Bethesda net, what happened was a lot of people who logged in on tried to log in right at the beginning and everything could not even play the game because like Bethesda net was down.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work. In true Bethesda fashion, you get the game at launch, you can't play it because it doesn't work. And then number two is like after that with the DRM is they had a version with the exe and everything in DRM protected with Denuvo and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And then right there in the same folder is another copy of Doom that has no Denuvo, no nothing. And then I believe there's been comparisons about the slowdown that Denuvo has caused over the other version that they also gave you.
Oh, good. Getting better.
So they've they screwed over people who bought it right at the first moment and couldn't play it. They screwed themselves over with by undermining their Denuvo that they paid a lot of money for, and now they're being compared about how Denuvo screwed up the game. Made it worse.
Yep, it's perfect there. And again, none of this has anything to do with the quality of Doom Eternal. And yet it is a factor in playing this game. And again, it raises that question as per our first topic then, is DRM really needed these days? And should it be, do we even have to even think about it now, considering what we have in the market? Because when we look at the early forms of copy protection were simply there to stop fraudulent CD keys. Again, back in the old days, there was very little copy protection. You can rip the files off the CD, create a no CD crack. Again, many pirate-related sites out there, and you could do this with one copy of the game. Today, however, we live in a digital world where we have profiles and accounts, and I have over 2,000 Steam games and counting right now. Things are attached. There is, I guess, a digital trail. You can't just take a key anymore and send those files to everyone because they have to be attached to a client. It's the same thing with PSN, XBLA, Nintendo Switch, etc., etc. So why do we still need to talk about DRM?
Well, I'm going to say something controversial right now,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to have to hear me out because it's going to loop around to be an uncontroversial at the end. Okay, so here's my argument to why Denuvo and like all these things need to exist.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, without them, they do truly hurt week one sales or whatever of like AAA, most AAA games,
Mm-hmm.
probably all AAA games to be honest. Maybe not Capcom's games, but most people's games. You know what I mean? If not all, because Capcom might get lumped in with them. And the reason why it helps is it keeps people from pirating those right in the first weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why that's, good, quote unquote good, is because, a lot of those games get pirated because the companies that release them are, generally scumbags. So, they're protecting their, scumbag that, money kind of thing by doing this other scumbaggy thing. So, I mean, like if they stop doing scumbag things and everything, then the DRM, the other scumbag thing would not be, needed kind of thing. It's like doing a second wrong to, try to keep money from their first
Mm-hmm.
wrong
Yep.
kind of thing. Like now, on the other hand, where developers are not doing scumbag things, piracy is not really an issue. Like I mean, piracy is definitely out there and definitely a
Mm-hmm.
thing, but like the things you encounter with piracy is, the people couldn't afford the game. The people,
Yep.
they're they're never going to be a customer. Well, I wouldn't say they're never going to be a customer. They wouldn't be a customer for that particular game, but they could be fans of your studio. And when they have money, they could be, customers
Yep.
of yours. They could be
And
trying to get a demo or whatever, and they would become a customer kind
yep.
of thing.
And there are
After they,
people out there, I've met them, who will pirate anything. They will never be a customer of your game.
oh
They're
yeah,
just
yeah, they'll
there.
never buy again.
Exactly. And those are the kind of people who DRM is not really going to stop because they know it's going to be broken eventually. And we've had this discussion before that it's very important for people to understand that DRM is not the impenetrable shield. It's not designed to be that way. As you said, Shark, it's meant to be that, week one, maybe month one, stopgap to stop people from pirating the game during its most profitable time. But
Mm-hmm.
eventually, all these DRM services, they're going to get cracked because the hackers are going to be keeping at it. And there is no such thing as, the emergent AI DRM service. There's your horror story next. The DRM
Yeah.
that learns and adapts and then will kill us all.
Yeah, there we go. Killed by Denuvo.
There we go, exactly.
That should be you should retitle the stream now and call it Killed by Denuvo.
And to your point there about that, again, to the week one sales, the problem, of course, is that if people want to buy these games, excuse me, they can just wait 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. And then we have that situation where developer releases a game, nobody buys it for like the first 2 to 3 weeks, and then they wait explicitly for that patch. Because again, as we've said before, I think what's very interesting that a lot of the topics we discuss kind of intersect with each other. Like
Mm-hmm.
as we've said, with how many games are being released these days, it's very hard, I feel, to care about just one game. And like for myself, while I'm excited about playing Doom Eternal at some point, I still have Resident Evil 3. If I don't play Resident Evil 3, I have Neo 2. If I don't play Neo 2, I got 50 indie games. I'm not dying to play video games right now. Now, again, I also have work to do. Again, quarantine for me doesn't mean we stop the work around here. But the days in which I can, run, to my computer, put down $60 on a game and be happy about that are kind of gone. It's very rare, and I've said this before, for me to go, I'm going to buy this game day one at full price.
I still buy some games at full price on day one.
Mm-hmm.
I still buy several of them. But there's not very many of them because I have to feel it has to really sell me. It has to be okay, this game is going to be really, really good, and I want to get on it right at the beginning, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm safe to say that I'm going to enjoy this game. Like everything I've seen, everything that I've researched on the game is all pointing to there's no way in heck I'm going to want to refund this kind of thing.
And that's probably something that's going to pop up when we get to our reviewing the reviewer section later on. And just about how much these games are actually worth it, and what does this mean for reviews? Now, bringing this back to DRM, another major point, of course, is that, as we've said, every platform is now technically a DRM service. Again, I shouldn't have to keep pointing this out, but Steam is DRM. That was its original function, was DRM, and it still does that.
But it's a unintrusive DRM, where Denuvo is extremely intrusive.
What does Denuvo do, or does, that gives it functionality for users? Zero.
Nothing.
Exactly. What do we get when we use Steam? Let's count the ways. We get friends lists. We get instant downloads. We get free or we get immediate updates on games. We get the remote couch co-op play. We get game sales.
We get forums.
Yep. You get all of Steam's analytics. You get achievements.
Game reviewers.
Mm-hmm. You get multiplayer architecture in some cases.
You get free servers for developers.
Yeah. And that, again, we've said this before, but whether or not you love or hate Steam, its impact and its importance on the game industry cannot be understated at this point.
Absolutely.
And that, again, is why Steam has managed to always beat its competitors. Uplay, Origin, Games for Windows Live. Who knows what we're going to be talking about with Epic Games Store in the next year. And again, the reason why Steam works, and even we could even extend this to PSN and the console versions, is that there is something for the user. It's not just, you must install this or we won't let you play your games. It's, you install this and we're going to give you this as long as you attach your games to it.
Right. And see, I want to really like Steam, but there's several issues I have with them. But I want to really like them.
Steam is not perfect. Let's get that out of the way. We're not. This is not the we love Steam 100% show. We can definitely have some tough love conversations about Steam regarding its algorithm, how it treats developers, and even just some of its general practices over the years. But
rats! I thought this was the I love Steam conversation.
No, and we haven't been bought by China yet either.
We got to put that on the topics list. We love Steam.
There we go. Denuvo killed us, and we love Steam. That's the name of the stream.
Yeah, there we go.
And not bought by Disney yet.
Oh, I thought we were. Never mind. I wasn't supposed to say anything.
Yeah, and of course, Xbox Live had achievements. I think Xbox was the first console to officially have an achievement system. But as we've said, thank you for reminding me of that, Ryu. The Steam Workshop, a consolidated place for hosting and managing mods. I mean,
Yeah.
there are a lot of games that really owe their popularity to the Steam Workshop. And and even as a really good comparison, you remember when Bethesda tried to have their own modding support for Bethesda.net and wanted to charge people for those mods. It worked the same way as when Steam tried to charge for its mods, meaning a colossal failure.
Yep.
And this is again why these discussions about DRM are just very weird, because we live in a world where there is DRM everywhere. It's just that developers want more. But at the end of the day, that level I don't think it's really helping anybody.
Well, consumers more want, DR. I don't think consumers have 100%, hatred for DRM. I think their hatred is really directed at DRM that hurts the game,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, makes it a lesser experience, and that's in general what Denuvo does, because Denuvo takes up a lot of your CPU, takes up a lot of your
Mm-hmm.
graphics, takes up a lot of your RAM. It takes up a lot of resources from your system, and just can basically take your system and shoot a bullet into it, and now it's got to try to run the game with the bullets in its leg, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where like the Steam DRM, it's pretty much just like, is Steam running? Yes. Then you're good. And Steam is like so low resource intensive on there that you can just leave it running all the time, and it basically has like
Mm-hmm.
far, far less impact than Windows, or one tab of whatever Explorer you use,
Or Google
browser you use.
Chrome.
Oh, definitely Google Chrome. I mean,
Yeah.
Google Chrome is a resource hog. I
Yep.
was trying not to mention that one because that would be a bad example. It would be less than what Discord probably runs.
Yeah. And don't forget that with Steam, you can play games in offline mode. Once you download them, you don't even need to be connected to the internet to play a single player game.
Yeah, although I think that is not in every area. I think
Okay.
there are some areas that have that disabled, because one of my friends in Romania tried doing it, and it never gave him the option to remote play,
Yeah.
which I found odd. So
Hmm.
it may not be everywhere, kind of thing, which would suck if it's not everywhere. But like,
Yeah.
it may just be something weird with his computer or something. I don't actually know, but
Mhm.
like, we know that it's available in the U.S. We know that it's like that for most of the world, but maybe not all the world.
Hmm. Yeah. And with, like, again, as we said, with the major game releases, it still begs that question that in today's world, what does Denuvo or any other copy protection do that Steam isn't handling, that any digital platform isn't doing on its own?
Well, Steam isn't locking it down hard. That's the reason why theirs is really resource light, kind of thing. It's
Mm-hmm.
not resource intensive. Where Denuvo locks things hard down, making it, like you said, with Steam, you can go offline mode. You can easily hack Steam's DRM.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very easy. All you have to do is, just go in there and basically remove the API, the Steam API, because I mean that's all it really is. Well, it's more than that, but like the API also ties into the achievements and stuff like that. But like, for our last game, Chromasia, the word of the day for everybody, we had a fully working version of Chromasia, and then DRM free and everything, Steam free and everything, and then we achievement free and a couple other free things, and then we put in the Steam API, and when we did, that linked all the systems we had in there to the achievements and to all this other stuff, as well as the DRM kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, if somebody wants to, all they have to do is go into the code and just say, hey, don't look for the Steam API, and there it is, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very easy, but it's at minimum level that also gives you something, because you get achievements and all that stuff with it,
Mm-hmm.
that prevents the people who, have nothing but time on their hand to, go that extra step kind of thing. It keeps the honest people at bay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know that saying. You
And
know,
I,
but like Denuvo, like it really just walks things down.
mhm. And I also want to bring up the fact that when we talk about kind of like the original version of cracking games, I mentioned this before with the no CD crack. Like today, PCs don't even need disk drives. I have was external DVD drive for my computer. So originally, again, we were told that the discs had to be in the computer because that's the only way we could run the games. But really, that was just more or less, for that form of copy protection. And
Yeah,
again, it's that case where the copy protection gives the consumer zero and gives the developer and publisher everything. And
yeah. I remember when I was young, I used to always do the no CD cracks
mhm,
on games that I owned because I didn't want the CD in there. I wanted to be able to play it without having to stick the CD in there every time. In fact, what I would do oftentimes was, do the no CD crack, pull the CD out, put in a music CD, and listen to my music CD instead of game music while playing the game, and it was a better experience for me.
mhm. And like we were saying, like in today's market, like things have certainly changed in terms of what people expect from games and even just what it means to sell these games. And it doesn't seem like DRM in its current form really has a purpose. Because, like we said, like the only way it's really going to do anything is still in the short term. Because even if you leave copy protection on a game for years, people are going to crack it. And as we've
Mm-hmm.
said, one of the big dangers of intrusive copy protection is that it makes people support the piracy and the pirates who do this stuff. Again, how many people have bought games pirated because the game didn't have regional pricing, if there was problems with the release, if the game wasn't even available in their own territory. And when they're forced to resort to piracy in order to play a game, your copy protection is doing more harm than good.
Yeah, and the only place where like anything below a minimum level like Steam has of DRM, anything that goes beyond that, like Denuvo or whatever, it's the only use is for basically corrupted developers
Mm-hmm.
to use it to, because they know people are going to come and hack their game because of all the corrupted stuff they did. Nobody, well, I won't say nobody, but, the people who know the corrupted behavior and everything fully, and weigh the option, do not want to pay for that game
Mm-hmm.
because they do not want to support the developers' scummy practices. So they know that the piracy is coming and they want to do everything they can to fight it with the
Mm-hmm.
Denuvo kind of thing. And once the while that's going to also hurt that's going to not really hurt them, just slow them down kind of thing. And like the people who just bought the game and had no problem with the bullcrap they were spitting kind of thing get hurt by it. So the people who are okay with bad things got more bad things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like we've said, if you can't, give the consumer a legitimate reason why your game needs that service, it's going to be looked at you just trying to screw over the consumer. And like, just again, like it's hard for me to, feel compassion around DRM. Like it's great. We should always have it because again, like we said before, there's different levels of consumers. You have people who want to, like your fans, they're not going to pirate your game. let's face it, they will never see you as somebody trying to get one over on themselves. You have people who will pirate a game out of necessity, and that could just require a change in structure or something like that. You have people who I guess, do we call it like hate buying it or hate piracy, just to like stick it to the developer? And
Yeah.
then we have the true pirates, the people who will just pirate to pirate. And those people should never be a factor for you as a studio.
Yeah, and then you have the people who pirate the demo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like,
But when the pirated version
mhm.
is better than
Yeah.
the real version, you got an issue there.
And to build off of that, if you remember when SimCity 5, I think it was, came out, the disaster of that DRM, EA tried to spin and say that we needed to be always online because a game can't function without it. And then the pirates and the crackers released a version that was single player and it played better than their multiplayer one.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's that case that at the end of the day, I think we need to move away from DRM. Not only that, but when we look at what people are talking about with the next generation, again, we've been having that discussion around diskless consoles with Xbox. Again, I forget the name. Is it just called Xbox now?
I think so.
Like Mr. Mister.
Yeah.
And the PS5, that we are moving away from the physical requirement of a game where those files are being stored. And Xbox Series X, yeah, that's not too confusing there. What was it before? Series Y? And with this move, there's just very little reason to kind of hamper these games. Because, like we've said, people have options these days. You make your game hard to play, guess what? We have 50 other games we could be playing instead. And
Yeah.
the
But I think a
whole.
minimum level DRM isn't bad. Like
Yeah,
what Steam
again,
did.
like Steam, PSN, XBLA, etc. Something that provides, some level of functionality and service to the consumer.
And not taxing on your system, just enough to keep the honest people honest.
Yeah. And this is another big point that the last decade, for pretty much I think like 2010 to maybe 2015, 2016, this was kind of like the digital store, I guess, World War One. If we talk about Epic versus Steam today as World War Two, because we saw everybody trying to outdo Steam, and the one area that they always failed in was they made their DRM worse than Steam. I still
Mm-hmm.
remember trying to play what was it? The Dawn of War. Here we go. Warhammer Dawn of War 2, requiring both Steam and Games for Windows Live and Secure ROM all at the same time.
Mm. Layers upon layers upon layers.
Exactly. And it still didn't work because people eventually cracked that. Yeah. And again, like to Ryu's point, DRM the is not the unbeatable solution. There is no unbeatable solution. And I don't know, I think like at the end of the day, like with this kind of conversation, I think we need to just focus on the quality level and having that, the minimum support of DRM. Like if for the young people watching this, you never have to deal with the horrors of what was it? Not secure. What was the name of that? Do you remember the shark? That very horrible DRM. I think it was Star something.
No, I don't remember it.
Mm.
And Ryu, I was referring to Steam's DRM, not Denuvo.
Here it is, Star Force. which
Never
was
heard of that one.
reported to destroy computers. It couldn't be deleted. And yeah, people try to use that for their games, and it just was horrible.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of DRM acts like a virus, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I know one of my favorite games, 7 Days to Die. They have a multiplayer thing in their game. I forget what it's called.
Hmm.
But it's kind of a DRM. It's not technically a DRM. It's a
Like Punk Buster and things like that.
it's supposed to secure the multiplayer kind of thing.
Hmm.
And like I can see the use for that. Keep your servers from getting hacked and everything. Keep people from abusing them and everything. But like I mean, you shouldn't be forced to run that kind of thing. Like you should be able to
Hmm.
create a server, private server with just you and your friends, or a single player game and play without it, kind of thing. I mean,
Hmm.
that should be an option, especially since that program, I forget what the name of it is, it's not really compatible with Linux. And, and I want to swap to Linux. So, and I don't want to stop playing one of my favorite games. So, yeah.
Yeah. And the other big point, of course, is that what happens when these DRM solutions go down, or the games go down, but the DRM is not removed? I'll give you a perfect example of this. I cannot play SimCity Societies, despite owning it on Origin, because the verification or the authentication server for when you install the game has been taken offline. So guess what? I can't play this game.
Yeah.
And that is, again, this is a single player game. There is no reason why a single player game should need to contact a third party server in order to be able to play it.
Yeah. The, the, at least they could do is just take off that at the end of the game's life. I mean, when
Yeah.
the game's not selling anymore, you're going to disconnect the server. So just automatically just make the game not request for the server anymore. Like it would just require a small patch kind of thing.
Hmm.
But they don't want to do that because that costs a few extra cents for them, and they're done with the game. So they want you to be done with the game too. They're not going to help you with it.
Yep. And yeah, I think that would be another very big deal. Like, if they could say that after X amount of time, the DRM shuts off completely. Because again, like we've
Mm-hmm.
said, every game has a shelf life, and eventually that DRM is just going to be a bygone relic because it's not going to be like 15 years after a game is launched. There really aren't going to be pirates still trying to crack that game. Either A, it's been cracked, or B, everyone doesn't care about it anymore. They moved on to what else is new.
Yeah, it's probably cracked within the first couple of months.
And in some cases, even less than that. And you
Mm-hmm.
remember Denuvo's like smart marketing campaign to say we challenge pirates to try and crack our games. Because if there's one thing you
And
want to
pirates
do, it's call
don't
out
help us.
pirates.
Yeah.
That never ends up badly, right?
Oh yeah. No, never, never. You can say, hey pirates, come and pirate my game, and nothing bad will happen to your game.
Hmm.
Nothing bad. It's like standing in front of a railroad track on the rails and at a speeding train heading at you, and they're like, "Hey, train, run me over." Nothing bad will ever happen.
It won't hit you, right?
Nah, it'll swerve and miss you. It'll come off the tracks and swerve
You need J
off the
frames
track.
to dodge.
Yeah.
So, anything else, I think, regarding this topic? I'm trying to think. Um,
Well, we haven't got into like multiplayer. Like this isn't DRM directly, but this was like part of the topic about
Mm-hmm.
what happens after the multiplayer games servers get shut down and everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you know, I that's a hard one because like I mean the servers are actually required to run the game kind of thing. So they can't like if the there is like they could there's a few possible potential solutions like they could release the server code and then
Mm-hmm.
somebody could host their own private one kind of thing and they foot the cost of it. They could cut the server size down to where it's very very small and everything and take donations, and as long as the donations are enough to pay for the server stays up
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And then once which would be affordable enough that like if one person really loves the game they can keep it forever because you could probably rent a server to keep 2 3 people or even a few
Mm-hmm.
thousand on it for
Yeah.
probably 30 40 bucks a month.
Yeah. And what
So
about games that have unique multiplayer modes, where it's something that you can only experience it through multiplayer? If you remember, or I remember, with a Battle for Middle Earth 2, it had kind of like a what was it, like a Total War style multiplayer match. And guess what? When those servers got taken off, that entire mode is dead.
again, they could do the same solutions kind of thing to
Mm-hmm.
those too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, working on a game that runs a multiplayer only game myself and everything, I've definitely been quandering these issues, and like I hope and I believe that the game will succeed. Right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if it doesn't, then obviously, there's not going to be any support for keeping the good servers up kind of thing. But like you know if the game actually does have legs, if the game does actually perform and everything, and it's not just a flop right out the gates kind of thing, and people actually invest in it and put their time, money, and everything else
Mm-hmm.
into it, and you'll want to keep it up kind of thing. Like I mean, I suspect it'll stay up for I think it'll go strong for probably several years kind of thing, maybe even longer than that.
Mm-hmm.
But like if we get to the point where the game ain't making money anymore, it's just breaking even or losing money or whatever, we can't invest into it anymore kind of thing. Then what I intend on doing is like, okay, here's the situation. We're this game is dead commercially to us. We're not making a single penny off of it anymore. So here's the choice. You guys can donate to cover the server's cost, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
and I'll put the prices up there. If we have like 300 people playing right now, kind of thing, and to get a server that's capable of supporting 300 players, we need one server, and it's going to cost whatever much and but if you guys want good connections, you'll probably need like 3 servers, one
Mm-hmm.
in 3 different places across the world, which will cost
This amount of
this much.
money.
Yeah, and here's the donation button. As long as you guys want to donate and support it, then it'll stay up. But and if donations go above what's required, then that'll just carry over into future months kind of thing. And there'll probably be a little bit of extra fee for us because like like if it costs like you know I don't know 20 30 minutes of our time every day kind of thing, and that costs money,
Mm-hmm.
but it won't be much money. It'd be probably a few bucks kind of thing, just a little bitty fee on there. And as long as we're able to keep on going, just keep it up and let those last 300 people play it until nobody's willing to support it anymore. And at that point,
Hmm.
it dies. And, I don't think there's going to be any outcry for it dying because, people wrote it out until they didn't want to write it out anymore, you know. And then at that point, I might, take it and submit it to, one of these museums or something.
Yeah.
And, if they want to support it, kind of thing.
Yep. And like we've said, like out. This has been like the reason for some. This is the reason for so much in terms of live service that developers want a game that they can support forever. But even with that said, the only way you can support or a game that can be supported forever, it has to have content developed forever. And it's I just don't see any game ever living up to that mythical standpoint that it will still be popular 50, 60, 70 years down the line. There will always come a point where these games will have to go away or they're not going to be profitable anymore. And at that situation, what happens to them? Because we could easily extend this into talking about MMOs. How many MMO based games? Oh, I beat forward to it just as the chat came up there. But like, how many MMOs of the early thousands are completely and utterly dead with no way to play them outside of pirating them? This was a whole big discussion that I think was the not the ESA, the EFA, I think, was having about being able to use pirated servers and copies to play these games that are literally dead. Like, there's no support for them. So there's no other way to play them.
Yeah, it's it's really difficult. Hopefully, Project Red will have be one of those be one of those games that you can't see that'll go 50, 60 years from now. It probably won't be. I can almost guarantee you it won't be, but maybe it will be. And maybe, lots of other good games will be that way. But, it's probably not going to happen. Like it's probably pretty lucky if one goes for even 10 years kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like, we as developers need to ensure that at least we ramp down the want for the servers kind of thing by letting the users support the servers, keep the servers up just by donations and everything until you can no longer meet those donations, and of course keep the cost down as low as possible so it's
Mm-hmm.
easier enough to beat, and let them go until the want for the game curbs down, and then once people no longer want to play it,
Mm-hmm.
then it goes away. Somebody out there may want to just put auto pay for $40 a month or however much a server goes,
Mm-hmm.
and just keep it up forever, or at least keep it up for the rest of their life, until they die and their bank account gets shut down. Okay? Maybe multiple people want to do that, and I don't know, but like there's all kinds of different ways that you can at least ramp it out to where people who want to continue it can continue it, kind of thing.
I think Dragon's trying to get me to monetize with some of the things that YouTube is flagging.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. That would be kind of interesting. Like the whole stuff about like a generational game. Back in my day, I played World of Warcraft version 5, but now all the kids are on version 15. Uh oh.
And
Wait, did
Josh,
I?
you got to get good at dates.
Let's see. Oh, there we go. Off by one number. Well, at least
Off
I
by
got it right
two
in the
numbers.
thumbnail.
You got it listed as 33 instead of 22.
There we go.
You invented a day in the month.
Good. I'll still be working on that day. Who are we kidding? Even if I invent another day, it'll still be a work day.
Yep.
Alright, but I think with that, let's move on to weird games, and then we'll talk about reviews next. So let me pull this up here. Alright, what do we have here? There we go. Uh-oh. There we go. OBS had an update, and I think it made it worse, which seems to be like a common theme these days when people are updating like Windows and other software.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my key in for Doom Eternal, and for Ori, and still no response yet. Again, if I get a key for Doom Eternal, I will be shocked.
The question is would you be able to play it? Okay. Will Bethesda Net work for you?
I
Will
don't know.
the DRM actually approve? Oh, you got a free key. Oh, well, the DRM is like, nope, that's a no-go.
Let me see here. Huh. It actually
I would
shows like
reckon.
all around it now. Huh. Okay. Oh look, 3D hentai blackjack. There's the perfect game to start the night off.
Yep.
There's that Legend of Heroes game. We looked at Pirates last week. What is this?
Like I was saying, I would reckon, but I've already got a name for the studio. Otherwise, that'd have been my top pick right there.
Good. Who is Johnny Bonsera? Why is there a fourth
Oh,
game?
look at that top one.
Which one?
The top one.
This one?
The one with the black screen.
Yeah.
You know what that means, right?
I do not, and now I'm afraid to ask.
You don't want to click on it, I can guarantee.
Okay. No
It's,
daring.
It's Japanese for a certain act
Oh, good.
that requires, two large things
Okay.
and one, longer thing.
Mm.
Almost like a hot dog.
Oh, good. Where's home? Warp Factor. Oh, I was not expecting that. Oh, good. It's a block-breaking arcade action game. I wonder if this, like, a developer left me a comment saying they're releasing an arcade game, so I wonder if that's that one.
Could be.
Here, okay, we looked at that one. We did that. Back home, Jeremiah. Nintendo Switch. RPG with roguelike elements. Ooh, Feed Your Sins. Perfect.
You know what I gotta do? I gotta log into Keymailer myself and see if that game is actually how far they went on that game.
Oh, no. Oh, that Unbound game is coming out. Is it? Oh, no, it's the... They're doing the same thing. The prologue, like a Legend of Keepers. Oh, no.
They definitely went all the way.
Oh, God. Miner's Metal.
That was definitely extremely extreme.
So don't click on that, then.
Yeah, absolutely do not click on that. You will get demonetized like
the stream gets cut off immediately, basically.
Yes, you will get like YouTube will literally take you down.
Oh, great. Oh, a story-driven tactical RPG with unique card combat mechanics. Turn-based
I might take some screenshots and show it to the Discord though later.
Oh, good. Perfect. We don't have a not safe for work section for that very reason.
Oh, come on, you need one now.
Alright, so my problem with this is that they're talking about the combat, as partial voice acting. That's a very strong marketing plug right there.
Yeah. All right, you heard him. He doesn't have a safe word, not safe for work chat. So you'll have to join my Discord, and I'll show it to you on my not safe for work chat.
Great.
It is very not safe for work.
What the hell is this? A 360 virtual reality film. Okay. Wait a minute, is that a shark in a card game?
Where?
Urban Cards.
Huh. Must be the card shark. They're
Uh-oh.
still in my thing.
It's an economic deck building card battler with a roguelike and city builder infuse. Whew. That's a genre.
Words. Is that a genre or is that some words?
I think it's words. Two neighborhoods, build your deck. 62 cards. Go bankrupt. Okay then. And there's a rat. Could be interesting.
Yeah, could be.
Alright. We'll see if we get it. Get out.
I can't help but notice one of those part of that GIF was somebody playing a shoe.
Yeah. Let's see. Monotech. What the hell is this?
King's Sim.
The world area. Just looks like a okay idea. What's this? Oh. What? The king is dead. Rule. Oh, we can play mini games.
All the mini games.
Rushberry Mercs? Have a nice day. What's this? What? That's a racing game? Okay. Was not expecting that by that title.
Nope.
Monsters of Kanji 2. Blood Witch. Whoa. Dark fantasy roleplay game. I think it's a little too old school for me.
Yeah.
It's an adventure game, but not an RPG.
Too not visually appealing too.
Handbags for 3D visual novel maker? Okay. Oh, pizza delivery boy.
That sounds like a good one.
And then right underneath that, hentai harem. Perfect.
Yeah, let's go with anti-harem. Nobody likes pizza.
Is Draken still watching? Look at that. Almost 3 hentai games in a row. That's almost a jackpot there.
Is that a good tic-tac-toe?
Morris Plan. Lem Maze? The Valley of Super Flowers. Apparently it's a 2D platform action game. What?
In a valley with 2 super flowers?
What? Okay then.
Oh, you got Drac in there.
Ooh, 12 levels to play. Alright, this does not seem to be a good week so far for new games coming out.
Oh, there was a really good one that you missed.
Which one?
It had that black screen, the
Oh,
black thumbnail,
mm-hmm.
and started with a B
Oh, good.
and something in Japanese.
Hmm. Sunrise 7. Ooh, substantial difficulty. Many exciting boss fights. Hmm. Looks like it has an interesting style to it. Must runner find shelter. Is it a runner game or is it just like a platform, like procedural platformer?
You know what? I'm looking at this game again, and it has a YouTube tag.
Oh no.
It's like that stuff's not allowed on YouTube.
This is all
But it
Shark's gonna
has
be able to talk about for the rest of the night.
it's hilarious.
Oh no. Okay, puzzle platformer. Suitable for all ages. Not like the other game.
Yeah. See, now it's all you can talk about.
Wheel of Fate. Turn-based RPG. Ooh, AI technology.
Wheel of Fate. Turn, turn, turn. I forget rest of that.
Oh, good. The game learns and then challenges you. Good. We have the learning AI.
It learns that you've got good RNG, so it's like,
Mm.
yeah, we got to give you bad RNG now.
So what does? Ugh. These
What do you
graphics
think
though
about?
aren't really doing much.
What do you think about that for an idea for a game? Like you have like really like positive RNG, but like you have an RNG that your results can only be 90 to 100 kind of thing. But the instant you hit 100, your RNG will now only do 80 80 to 90 kind of thing. And once you get 90, it'll go from 70 to 79, and once you get or 70 to 80, and once you hit 80, it goes down again.
And this game is just raising all the red flags right here.
Collective card game.
Players directly control what cards are in the game.
Mm.
Players create all the cards and control the game's balance. That could not end badly, right?
No, no. I've got to get this game. Because I have the ultimate idea for a card. Right.
Mm-hmm.
It has. You can put as many copies of it as you want in there in your deck. No limits. And if you draw that card, you win. And if you have that card in your deck, you automatically draw first. You
Mm-hmm.
go first. And this card is only limited to people with the name Sharky.
Okay. Well, speaking about that, here's an image of what appears to be a zombie tiger fighting a shark.
Uh-oh. The shark's going to win.
It's
It may
hard
not
to.
look like it, but the shark's going to win.
Okay. Make your kingdom. Buried chambers. Computer physics simulator. Mm.
Love and Amp.
Oh no. Game of battle. Yeah, none of these thumbnails are really working here. Let's see. Tense arcade style bullet hell shmup. Bugs.
Well, Draken just posted the same thing, saying that his internet's acting wonky.
The virus is
See you
spreading.
later. Yeah, he's been infected.
Oh, we have a
See you
game
later,
called
Draken.
Kill Yourself. Alright, Dragon, have a good night.
That one sounds family friendly.
Yes. The other game should combine with this one.
Yeah.
Charterstone. Oh, it's based off a board game. Okay. Again, I don't do too much with tabletop, so I can't tell you good or bad or whatnot. Knockout Party.
Well, that's how I got started with game development.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much. I mean, or game design rather, not game development, but game design. Because when you're designing a tabletop game, it's got to work. There's no patches or updates or anything you can do to it. Yes, you missed some good stuff, like the game that we did not show, that has a black thumbnail and starts with the letter B and ends with E, and is a Japanese word for something I can't see on stream. But I'll be sharing that later on my Discord in the Not Safe for Work channel.
Yes. Because I don't want that in my Discord, so they won't take me down.
Hey, you'll take you down. Not Safe for Work is fine on there, as long as it's not underaged. Or it can appear to be underaged.
Good Economy is a tycoon. That could be interesting. I did like that game, Desktop Factory, or whatever it was. We'll see. Alright, this will be the last page, and then we'll move on to our final topic.
Our final topic?
Yeah, this week I'm not seeing anything that's like standing out in a good way.
No, that's because you didn't click on that one.
And that's why we still have the stream up. Shank and Bake. Okay. Fly Tank. Ooh, Whiskey and Zombies.
That's always a good combination. You know what would you have on the other hand of Whiskey and Zombies? You have a Corona and the coronavirus.
Alright. So with that, let's get to our final design topic for the week. And I want to talk a little bit more about, I guess, what quality is required, what skill level is required when it comes to reviewing games. And the reason why I picked it for this week is that, as we've said before, we're kind of entering that big AAA push of the 2020 season. We had Neo 2, Doom Eternal, Animal Crossing, Resident Evil 3 I think is in 2 weeks, and I'm sure there's other major games coming out.
And we got GameStop trying to stay it's open.
Yeah. Which worked out really well for them when they got their business license revoked in Pennsylvania.
Ooh.
And
hopefully that'll happen more worldwide.
I don't know. But so that's multiplayer, great. This will probably be a new meme, I think, for the channel. I can see it now. But for our point, I've been thinking more about kind of reviewing indie games, just reviewing in general. And this is a topic we've touched on before, but I really wanted to kind of dedicate as a session here on the show as to just what kind of skill level should we expect out of reviewers. And we can even extend this not only to skill level, but also knowledge level about the industry. Because, as I'm sure anyone watching this recorded is well aware of, there are a lot of YouTube channels and Twitch streams about people playing video games and giving their opinions on them. And a lot of them don't really know much of what they're talking about, it seems like.
Yep. Sadly.
And it's this kind of discussion about how much weight do you put to reviews like this. And we see this with every AAA game, every difficult game, or any polarizing game. That how much does the reviewer, or how much should the reviewer matter in terms of that review? Now, of course, the thumbnail I use is from Cuphead. Of course, there's that whole controversy about was it Dean Takahashi reviewing, or he made like a cute little video of him failing,
Yeah.
and you had people, you had the idiots screaming, "Oh yeah, how this guy is horrible! He should not be reviewing the game," which he wasn't. And then you have idiots on the other side saying, it doesn't matter if he's good or bad, the game, he should be allowed to review it regardless. Or skill has no place in the review. So again, another fun time all around there.
Yep.
And what makes this very difficult is, like we've said, the so much about the journalistic side of the game industry is divorced from the game development side of things. Again, you can have as long as you have a website or a YouTube channel, you can be a professional game reviewer.
Exactly.
And to Zach's point there, I was going to bring that up. That there's a discussion about, like, should the reviewer skill level be mentioned in the review? And I think it should be. What do you think, Shark?
Yeah, I think it should be. When possible. I mean, it's not possible all the time because, I mean, occasionally there are brand new kind of things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, recently we had Untitled Goose Game, which is a brand new weird thing. And I'm sure nobody has experience with a game like it.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure there's nobody with, background skills in, what was that other game? The one that was like Twine but was graphically appealing.
Disco Elysium?
Yeah, Disco Elysium.
Yeah.
I'm sure like nobody has any
Yeah.
real experience with that besides like Twine game players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But still, Twine game players are not used to graphics, so it is yet a completely different thing at the same time, or real movement.
Yeah. And a part of the reason for this is that I was seeing, like, every time there is a hardcore action game that gets released, whether it is Neo, Sekiro, God of War, pick a Soulsborne title, I always find that reviews, or when I read or see reviews of these games from either YouTubers or video game journalists, they always seem wrong to me in terms of how they talk about it. And like I was watching somebody, I clicked on this review of Neo 2 with the thumbnail saying this is the perfect action game. And I was just like fast forwarding to it. I came to a point where the guy was talking about the story is the perfect marriage of, Japanese mythology and something else. I just turned it off immediately because that's not telling me about the action gameplay. Like, that should not be a factor in the perfect action game. And while I'm playing Neo 2, much like with God of War, I am seeing major issues from at the systems level in terms of its balance. And so far, nobody seems to be talking about it. In another situation, when I did put up my review of River City Girls, somebody said that I was the only person of the reviews that he read and saw who mentioned the problem with enemies being able to get free hits on Wake Up. And excuse me, that is a common issue or a common element in beat 'em up design. And again, it raises that question: how many people who reviewed River City Girls understood beat 'em up design? Much like how many people reviewed God of War and understand action gameplay.
Yeah, and we have a lot of issues there. Like like they need to at least have a base understanding
Mm-hmm.
of the genre. I mean, I don't think they have. I don't think it has to be their favorite genre or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they have to like the genre, but if they don't like it, they should or like it. Either way, they should clarify that at the beginning, kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
this genre is like something that really floats my boat. If this genre is something that I really dislike, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. But then, of course, what somebody would say: if this is a genre that you hate, why are you reviewing it?
Mm-hmm.
And like to Zach's point, yeah, I do think there has to be a more critical eye towards game reviews. I'm going to be doing a video probably this week, on top of everything else I have to do. I want to go back to the whole issue I had with numerical scores in games. And I don't want to get on that rant now because we'll be here for another hour if I do. But to this point, I do feel that there should be some, that it has to go one of two ways. You either need to have a certain understanding or skill at the genre, or you need to label your review something differently. A review that only looks at, let's say, the storytelling of God of War should not be factored in the Metacritic or whatever rating system you want to use next to a review that only talks about the gameplay or the mechanics.
Yeah. Like I think like story is part of it, but like
Mm-hmm.
it's part of it, not all of it.
Yeah, like if
Unless
some.
it is unless it's just a story game, like a visual novel or like a
Mm-hmm.
Twine game or like Disco
Mm-hmm.
Elysium kind of thing. Like unless the story is all of it, the story shouldn't be all
Yeah.
of the review.
Yeah, like if you have a review, again, I'm trying to use God of War and like major games because those are the ones that are like the most AAA. But if you have a review of God of War that gives it a 9 out of 10 and there is no discussion about how combat works or how the flow of the game is, that is kind of like an invalid review in my opinion.
Yeah. And on to
Unless.
what you said about the numbers thing, I know you don't want to really get into that.
Mhm,
Put my 2 cents out there. I think we need a new system kind of thing,
mhm.
like not just numbers, and definitely not thumbs up and thumbs down that Steam has kind of thing. Like I think that's arguably worse than the number system,
We'll
although
use my
arguably less corrupt.
we'll use my not bad rating from last night. This game gets 3 not bads out of 10.
Yeah,
Or cans of Dr. Brown. Let's do that. There we go. Let's get full on marketing here.
yeah, but like I've seen somebody do reviews of this like this, and
Mhm,
like I'm not gonna say his name because number one, I don't like him anymore because he clearly
mhm,
took the bad path in some ways and caused me not like him. Anyway, what he did was like he said that this game was at the end he would say that this game is worth if you were into the genre, this was definitely a bot, or if you
mhm,
were into the genre, you might want to check this one out,
mhm,
or if you were into the genre, maybe kind of thing. But if you weren't into the genre, this is what you should do. You should either check it
mhm,
out, buy it, whatever kind of thing. And it was this kind of scaling review based on if you were in one kind of score, one kind of thing where you buy it, try it, whatever,
mhm,
based on if you're into the genre, and another one based on if you're not into the genre or like you're mediocre with the genre kind of thing. And I think that was a really good kind of approach there to where it was scaling based off of fans for the genre and then everybody else kind of thing. And
mhm.
it was not just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It was
Yeah.
either buy it, try it,
Mhm.
you know
And
maybe,
and I
and then
want to build off of
stay
that
away.
because I think that's another very important aspect of what makes a good reviewer. Is that when we look at a lot of people who review games, and I'm spoiling kind of when I do my video. But when a lot of people look at indie games specifically, there's basically three levels of reviewers. You have the this is the most amazing game ever. It has changed my way of thinking, and I'm the only one who's ever played it. You have the this is a horrible game. Look how bad this is. These developers are lazy and they're stupid. And then you have the people who are, this game is so weird and wacky. Here I am being adorkable on camera. Come subscribe to my channel.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to be a good reviewer, you need to be able to understand the genre and the market. And I think that's one of the things that I don't want to toot my own horn here too much, but I think it's something that I've gotten really good at. That I can sit and play a game that I know this is not a game for me. I don't like the game, maybe I'm terrible at it, maybe it's just a genre I am just completely unaccustomed to. But I can still... What was that?
How about a racing game?
Exactly. A stealth racing game.
There we go.
But I can still say, if you like this genre, this is what this game does for you. So that even if I hate a game, I can still point out why you may like it. And I think that's a very underrated quality of a reviewer.
I think most reviewers don't have that skill.
Yep. And like
game designer kind of thing.
Yeah, like to Zach's comment about platformers. There are plenty of platformers out there, like Kaizo, for instance, that Kaizo is aimed at Kaizo. If you are not a fan of Kaizo, this is not a genre for you. And it takes somebody who understands design to be able to articulate why that gameplay is like that and why there is appeal for it. Again, it would be like having somebody who's never played an action game write a professional review for Dark Souls.
Yeah. Like, I didn't even know what Kaizo was until I came to your channel.
Mm-hmm. See, I teach people on this channel. You don't just watch me for weird reaction faces. I quiz you.
We're still waiting on the weird action faces.
Yeah, that's what I have to get good at.
Yes, you got to get good at it.
Mm-hmm. When I do my silent protagonist video, the whole first one will be me doing nothing but YouTuber reaction faces, just for you, Sharks. You can capture them all and turn them into memes.
Yeah, we need that.
When you do like a teaser for Project Try, just have like 5 faces of me like in like various parts of the thumbnail. YouTuber is obsessed with Project Triad.
Exactly.
Look how obsessed he is.
We'll post your face on different characters and whatnot.
Oh God, it's got like a nightmarish image right there.
Wait, Josh Funk?
Yeah. And don't forget the GIMP mask too thing.
Yeah.
Well, that just completely threw me off. That horrific image is going to be in my nightmares tonight. But to get this back somewhat on topic, that the problem, like I've said, is that when you're trying to look at these games, I do feel that skill is required. Now, and again, when we use the term skill here, it's very ambiguous. Because to some people, when I say skill, that means you can blindfold play a Kaizo game and beat it in 10 minutes. To other people...
what that means is you get good.
Yeah. And to other people, being skilled means you play this game for 30 minutes and you didn't throw a controller, and that's enough. And I think, to your point you said earlier about changing reviews, I do feel that's another very big point about this, is that so much about the conversation of design and development has changed that the old school way of thinking, I just don't think it works anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And here's my question. Like, this is something that, and again, this is kind of that lead into review scores. But I'm going to put a little, I guess, psychological tesseract when I want to use Sharkin for the audience to kind of participate in this.
Right.
Let's say we have 2 reviews of Doom Eternal. One of them is from a novice player who says that they play the game on, let's say, either the easiest setting or one setting above it. And they gave the game an 8.5 out of 10. The second reviewer says that they are a pro level player. They played it on whatever the hardest difficulty is, whether it's Nightmare or Ultra Nightmare, and they gave it a 6 out of 10. And they cited their reasons for it. Which review do you think should matter more for people?
I think it would be neither.
Why?
Because I think both of them do not understand the actual mechanics of the game.
But what if that hardcore player explains where those issues are with the mechanics?
Well, if he actually includes that in the review and goes into depth enough about him, then maybe, yeah.
Because this is the issue that I ran into with my review of God of War. That I play that game on the absolute highest possible difficulty, and I ran into many systemic issues with its design and core gameplay loop. That somebody who would play the game on the easier settings would not see or experience it as bad. So, what do you do in that case? That if the game has problems with it, but only, the most observant eye can spot them, do they matter?
Well, I think for a review, you should generally play it on normal kind of difficulty, because normal is what the game developer intended for you to play as, kind of thing. And I think that would definitely be, the better way to do a review is playing it through on normal, so you can see the developer's true vision of the game. And then after that, go and look at other difficulties, kind of thing.
I think for me, I would have to argue against that. But I think that's more about me focusing on the design above anything else. Because I always feel that if your game is good, it should be balanced on all difficulty levels. It should be enjoyable.
Well, balance is often ignored on higher difficulty levels, because the thing you often see in game development is they'll make the normal mode and then balance it properly and everything, and then for easy and normal they'll just add some modifiers to it and let it go. Don't even test it, kind of thing. A lot of times the easy and normal modes never get tested, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is a reason why I think generally you should look at the normal one, and then
do you mean easy and hard modes weren't being tested?
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
And that just the normal one, gets tested, at least in some cases. In some cases all of the modes are tested, but I've seen this in so many cases where they test rigorously the normal mode, and be like, well, people who want hard mode want it to be harder, so let's just skew the balance in by this much.
Yep, and that's what happened with Diablo 3 with his original release. They just said, let's just make everything 50% harder, and let's all go home and get a drink.
And
which
that's definitely worth pointing out, but I think you've got to also look at the normal playthrough, because that's what your normal consumer is going to be experiencing, and at the end of the day, the review is for the normal consumer.
And I think I do agree to that to some extent. If the review is nothing but complaining about the game at super easy difficulty or super hard difficulty, then that's not really helping anybody either. Like, again, like for me, like I can talk about the mechanics of a game. Like the mechanics of a title work at all difficulty levels. Like if it doesn't work, then the game is broken. Like there's no way to get around that.
But I do think that you should definitely like include like that in a review kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like say, like maybe leave a review like, hey, the game in normal, pretty good game, pretty fun game.
Mm-hmm.
Balance is pretty all there. There's an issue here and there kind of thing, and you spell those out kind of thing. But when you go to hardcore mode or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
hard mode, that's when the flaws of the design really comes through, and it becomes horribly imbalanced, and there's all these issues kind of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
extending the review, but like not like the core of the review should probably be about the normal version of the game,
Or about
because like
what the gameplay loop is, kind of thing.
yeah, we're like, I mean, we've encountered this kind of thing on RPGs all the time,
Mm-hmm.
where where normal is balanced and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Easy basically takes out a lot of the grinding, and hard adds in a ton of grinding, and
Yep.
that's pretty much it.
Yep. And that's, I think, another really good point there. Like, if I were to review an RPG, I would not mention issues I have with the game on hard. Because, again, that would be unfair. That would be, again, like praise. That would be, again, like giving a game a higher review because I played it on super easy and all the bosses weren't that hard to fight. Like,
Yeah,
you have to be able to focus on what is the mechanics of this game, because that's ultimately where I think a review should be. Because difficulty, I feel at the end of the day, is subjective. And
right.
this is one of the reasons, again, like I ran into a lot of complaints or a lot of issues with people who reviewed Celeste. That a lot of them just, they did not mention the mechanics of the game at all. All they said was, this game has an assist mode, it's great for everyone, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Or somebody getting into an argument with me about the playability of Celeste, and then when I asked them if they played through the DLC, and they said, no, I didn't play through it. It's like, why are you talking to me then?
Yeah. I mean, Celeste had lots of issues,
Mm-hmm.
despite it being praised for its accessibility. I mean, the accessibility in it wasn't even really accessibility. It was more like
A
a
cheat mode.
game genie code.
Yeah. There you
And a game
go.
genie code is not accessibility.
We just cracked the code there for everyone. Here's how you fix all playability issues in your games, people. Just put game genie codes. Just figure out all the game genie codes you need for the game and just have that as an option.
Yeah.
We did it again. We see, if we just keep doing the show, we'll solve all the issues of game dev.
Yeah, exactly. We'll crack the Da Vinci Code of game development.
There we go. We did it. We'll have TED Talks about this by the end of the year. If there's still a society at the end of the year, I guess I should say.
Yeah, and if there's not, we'll start a new one and just call the Josh and Sharky Talks.
There we go. What I also find just as a weird tangent is that I have not choked at all for the last hour and 41 minutes of talking, and I was coughing horribly before, so maybe the show helped me. Game development is my cure.
Maybe you really are sick. You know that you're really sick by your better kind of thing.
The social distancing chat, there we go. And here's my final point. I'm going to be really firing some shots with this one. I may bring this up in the video. But anyone who says that a game is perfect, I feel that disqualifies them from being a good reviewer.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and like, I think this is one of like those things. Like, I remember reading some of the points from a game journalist, Tom Che, about some things like he would not let go. And I think this is one of mine. That there is no such thing as a perfect game. Like, I can't stand when reviewers say, this is the game that everybody should play. This is the perfect game. My life has been changed forever because of this game. Because, like we said, video games are subjective. Like, we can talk analytically about game mechanics. Again, like, let's put that right out there. But I don't think there is no such thing as the perfect video game.
Yeah, there's not. Like, I mean, there's games that I will absolutely, you know, speak nothing but praise about kind of thing. But there's definitely downside kind of thing to them too.
Mm-hmm.
Like Oxygen Not Included. I absolutely love Oxygen Not Included. But every time they release an update, it seems they break every mod in the game. So like if you're running mods, then you're kind of screwed from playing your game for a few weeks kind of thing. And there's so many mods out there that it's like, why isn't this in the stock game?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's this wire cutting mod that allows you to separate wires, without
Mm-hmm.
having to deconstruct them. And it's like, why is that not in the stock game?
That's
There's
another like conversation right there about mods and base content there.
yeah, but like there's like so many things that should have been like should be base content, and it isn't, and they haven't made it base content, and then they break their mods and you run that stuff, so you have to run a lesser version of the game. Like I'm not somebody who really mods games, but like
Mm-hmm.
some games definitely needs can really benefit from them, because like
Mm-hmm.
there's stuff that should be in the default game, and like I think some developers don't put that in their game because there's already a mod out there for it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't consider that an excuse. Like
Yep.
like if this is something that the base game needs, don't leave it to a mod.
Yep.
I know there's maybe already a mod out there that does this thing. Let the vanilla people have this thing.
Yeah. And again, that is another conversation right there of itself.
Mm-hmm.
And to Ryu's point there, like that's my reason is that there's not a perfect game. There's a perfect game for you. And those are two very different things. Like, how many reviews of Death Stranding probably have some combination of words, this game changed my life. This is the perfect video game. And, I love Monster Energy drink or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean anybody who always wanted to be Norman Reedus, Death Stranding is the perfect game for you. If you want
I
to be
bet it's a
Norman
perfect
Reedus.
game for Norman Reedus, too.
Yeah, it's a game for Norman Reedus.
Not to be confused with a game for Josh.
Exactly.
And this is one of those other things I want to say, too. That the real skill of a game reviewer is to be able to play not amazing games, just okay titles. Because again, anyone can review Doom Eternal, and they'll say something like, "This is the most action frenetic game I've ever played. It is so amazing to shoot things in it." But give somebody a game that isn't the most perfect game. I think this is why a lot of people tend to ignore indie games. Because indie games are not designed to be perfect. They're designed to appeal to a specific niche or cater to a specific group. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't understand that, you can't really talk about it. And I think, in a way, this is why major sites only cover indie darlings. Because they're the softball games, or the softball hits. They're the ones
Yeah.
that, it's already been vetted by everyone that they know it's this amazing game, so it's very easy to review that. But how many people would have given Darkest Dungeon the time of day if it didn't blow up? I don't see that game being reviewed by many major sites otherwise.
Or when a game isn't amazing but it gets praised as amazing, like
Like,
Untitled Goose Game.
or No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
And again, this is why I feel experience and skill are important factors. That you need to be able to understand what makes these games work if you want to have a professional review. Again, if you just want to make like a ranty review on YouTube or a joke review on a site, nothing's stopping you, unless that review is going to be counted as a professional review for that game. But if you want to call yourself a credible reviewer at something, you need to have some level of understanding. And I think, like, if you're good at being a reviewer, I think that is kind of cross genre. Like I said, I may not like racing games or very weird physics games or stuff like that, but I've said this before, that I can at least appreciate the game for what it does.
Yeah, and I think understanding mechanics, at least on a basic level, is really really important to that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, the more you understand the mechanics, the better. But I mean, you can't, if you just don't understand any of the mechanics. I think your review is pretty much null.
Yep. Man,
and I think that's what most of our reviewers are.
Mm-hmm. And I've said this before, that how many professional reviews of games like Gone Home or Life is Strange or any, again, very story-driven game don't touch on actually playing that game. And like we said, like, if your game is 100% story, if it is a visual novel game, then yeah, the story is going to be front and center. But if you're reviewing a game, like we said this before, like, how many people are probably going to review The Last of Us 2 and only talk about the relationships of Ellie, or whoever the main character is, and won't touch the gameplay? Because there are going to be people out there who will.
A lot of fans will do that.
Mm-hmm. Like with Kingdom Hearts as well. And probably Final Fantasy VII. Like, I saw people writing reviews about this will give Shark a few aneurysms right here. I saw a few people making reviews and videos about the Final Fantasy VII Remake saying, this game completely blew my mind in terms of how amazing it was.
Yeah.
That's about 8 aneurysms, I think. I think there's our new scale. It's the aneurysm review score.
Yeah. And the Final Fantasy Remake gets 200,000 million out of 10 aneurysms.
Mm-hmm. And like, that's another really good point about, like, when we see games like that, are the reviewers of Final Fantasy VII Remake how many of them will be able to articulate why this game works, outside of just saying, it's more Final Fantasy, or, it's a different Final Fantasy?
Like, I will say this right up front. Like, I would be the most horrible person to review Final Fantasy VII, even though I will understand all the workings of it and everything, and understand all that. The fact is I'm so biased towards the original kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember how amazing the original was. Yeah. Still is, kind of thing. And that if it just had a texture update and a few other things, that it would be amazing, kind of thing. And then you have the train wreck, and
and I think, and like, again, like, this is my final point there, but I do think there is something to be said about being too into a project as well. Like, again, this is why I was saying earlier that, like, for instance, with a Dark Souls, if a Dark Souls fanatic reviews a game and says it's 10 out of 10, I beat this game soul level 1, I had no problems with it, I could do it, blindfolded with, a one-handed controller, that is not a valuable review either.
Yeah, I think we got several of those with Sekiro.
Oh, yes. There's no problem with it. I beat the game.
Yeah.
And yeah, and oh, we have so many little rant topics we would go on. But people say that a
Uh,
game is fine just because they were able to beat it.
yeah, I
Be-
would be more interested on somebody who beat every Assassin's Creed game to actually review Sekiro. Since Sekiro, in my opinion, is far closer to an Assassin's Creed game than it is to a Souls game.
yeah. And that, unfortunately, like, to Ryu's point about biased reviews, every review is biased to some extent. There's no
Yeah,
real way to get out of that unless, again, we develop the AI who will learn to write reviews and then will kill us all.
yeah. Josh can't even do an unbiased review.
Yep.
He can try his best to take as much bias as he can out of it,
But it's
but there's no
still,
way to 100% it.
yeah, because the bias is where your professionalism, where should your professionalism come from? Because, like I said, at the end of the day, I care about mechanics above all else. So, if I were to write a review about, a game like Gone Home or the Stanley Parable, there really isn't a lot for me to talk about any visual novel game.
Yeah, and he's very biased against story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, again, like, I could write such a horrible review about Kingdom Hearts. There all these characters like whining and complaining about, so I just skipped all that. I would drive a few aneurysms of Kingdom Hearts fans.
You would.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like some of the Kingdom Hearts fans might actually agree with you, kind of, because a lot of them have said that this story is just a train wreck, just like Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Here's my prediction. I would love to see this happen just to get the reaction. I hope, since they're already changing the story for the remake, I want them to make sure that Aerith doesn't die at the end when Sephiroth shows off, just to get that reaction from people.
Oh, it's not even going to be at the end. Like that's like I think that's like 2/3 of the way through the game, or like 50% or something like that. It's definitely not at the end.
Oh, good.
But yeah, they probably won't kill her.
To save the feelings of everybody, right?
Yeah.
And
they
I
already
could just
got it where he's not even going to meet her because he doesn't even fall off the bridge there at the end of the demo. He's never even going to meet her for her to die in the
I
first
can
place.
hear the collective screaming right now. I can just hear it in my head.
Yeah, it's going in my head right now too, and it's me doing it.
There you go. All right, but I think with that, let's.
I think we still got a few more though things that we haven't covered.
All right.
Like how long should they play it? Because I personally had this experience, and I'm going to tell a little bit about it without going into great details or anything. But Josh is aware of this situation. I had a reviewer that reviewed games, and that's pretty much the only thing he did, kind of thing. And he, was more of a drama channel, it turned out, kind of thing. And but that's a side point. Point is that he did a review on our last game, and he said that he spent 20 minutes or 25 minutes or something playing it, kind of thing. And when you watch the video, you could tell that this was all like live gameplay. He record the footage and then go back and speak over it. He would play it for like 2-3 seconds, and then he would stop and talk for like 5 minutes, and then he'd play it for another few seconds, stop and talk for a few minutes, and he'd play another few minutes, and then he would stop and talk, and then he would play another few minutes and stop and talk, and then at the end he would just stop and talk, and he only played through like one map and everything, and the video was like unedited, except for the last part where he threw in a rant at the very end, kind of thing. Edited that in, kind of thing, with the video paused. But like everything else, you could tell that he was doing it live, kind of thing, as he was going through. And while the video was like 20-25 minutes or so, he only actually played like, I don't know, 3 or 4 minutes of the gameplay. He only beat the first map. he did not even. I don't think he even leveled up a single character. You know, he definitely never unlocked level scaling. He never. You know, he was like 6 maps from doing the 5 maps from doing a tutorial, because that the tutorial completes at map 6 basically.
Yeah.
So like he was like 1/6 of the way done through the tutorial, just probably 3 minutes of gameplay, and most of his and he was also saying that the game was bad and criticizing it before he even got into the actual gameplay, just off of the cutscenes at the beginning.
It would be like somebody who reviewed Ischia and they stopped playing the game at level 5 or leveling up their characters to level 5.
No, actually, it'd be like they stopped after the first tutorial map.
Yeah. And like I said, like when I look at a game, I can figure out the core gameplay within like 5, I think I said like 15 to 30 minutes. I'll know whether or not I'm going to like a game or not. That's not me reviewing a game. Like if I'm going to review a game, I usually at least give it a solid 40 minutes to an hour plus, depending upon the game itself. So there has to be, you have to at least give the game some room to breathe. Like this is why when I start recording about the game design stress test, I'm going to say this is not meant to be a review of a game. This is more or less an analytical process rather than like, this is like, there should not be a review score spending 15 minutes on a game.
Yeah. And the thing is he I said that, that's one of the things I said, that you should spend more time with the game, actually experience the game and find out what the game actually has to offer, kind of thing.
And
because I had thought that he had actually spent 20 minutes actually playing the game, 20, 30 minutes playing the game. But, it was only like 3 minutes playing the game.
And if you don't want to spend that time, don't make a review about it. It's that simple. Like, this is why when I do the indie spotlights, that one of the best things about them is that it allows me to look at games that I may not like it enough or be the right person to review it, but I can still show it off. And I can let you decide if you want to play that game. Yeah. But it's not labeled a review. That's the big thing.
And his excuse behind that, and there's people that backed him up on this excuse, legit people, kind of thing, that backed him up on this excuse as it's a early review. I don't think an early review is a review. Is a review.
There's my I just got the aneurysm right there. You can see it. There's my other rant. People who do early access reviews on games. There's something very wrong there.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think there's a place for early access review, but it's got to be a special kind of review. You know what I mean?
How about preview? That crazy word.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the better word. Instead of review, a preview. This is what the game has to offer now. These are and then you put your thoughts at the end. Like, I don't like this, but like it could be great in the future. Or like I love this and it probably will get a lot better, kind of thing.
And when I do my video spotlights, how many times have I said this is based on early access version of this game and may not represent the current version of it? It's that simple, people.
Yeah. Well, if we, to Ford's point, if we had a reviewer, they would pretty much say almost the same thing all the time. This reviewer is not worth his salt.
Yeah. And like we've said, like, while I don't think you need to play the entire game. Like, if it's like a 30, 50 hour long game, I don't think you need to play it all the way through the end if you're just talking about the gameplay. If you're going to be looking at the story as well, then yeah, you gotta see the game through to the end. Yeah. But again, a game should not be changing so much that it's a completely different game at the first quarter of the game than it is at the back quarter. That's not good design. And I love like people writing reviews about Death Stranding saying you're going to hate the first 15 to 20 hours of this game, but when you get to hour 30, it'll be the game of the year for you.
Mm. Is that sunk time fallacy right there?
Could be. Is that Stockholm syndrome?
Could be.
And like we've said, like there has never been like a formal kind of teaching for video game reviews. I mean, you can have a journalistic background, but I think while that helps, it's not enough. Like I've seen like some people argue that you need to be able to write first, play games second. I don't I think they're more connected than that. I think a good reviewer should be able to do both. You should be able to understand video games, and you should be able to write and articulate about them. It shouldn't be one or the other.
Yeah. Like, and the thing with journalism is, journalism for a lot of places gone right down the chute because, like, journalism isn't even journalism anymore. Journalism is, like, their form of politics or manipulation or whatever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when that comes into games, that's just like stupid, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Unless the game actually calls for it, like the game you played the other night. Where that kind of stuff is specifically in there in that kind of way.
You mean when the patriarchy defeated me?
Yes. When you were defeated by the patriarchy.
Yeah. And again, like, if you want to talk about this stuff, that should be fine, but you have to, like, again, like a review, I don't know, criticizing God of War for not having more strong female characters should not be considered a part of its review score kind of thing. Just like...
Or, what was that first-person shooter game or third-person shooter game where...
I'm sorry, you were cutting out there?
What was that first-person or third-person shooter game that didn't have females in it? I got criticized for that.
What was it? Was it Battlefield?
I don't think so. It was more indie. I don't know if it was indie, but it definitely was not AAA.
Criticized for not having female characters.
Yeah, and the developer responded to it and said that they didn't have, like, I think they said they didn't have, like, the budget and, like, it didn't fit their theme kind of thing.
Was that Kingdom, was it Crusader No Remorse or something like that?
It may have been. I don't remember.
I know Subnautica got into trouble. Battle Brothers got into trouble. I know The Witcher. There's that whole argument about people saying that there weren't more people of color in the first part of The Witcher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, you have to take into consideration, what the developer actually intended.
Mm-hmm.
If the developer is intending on stuff being historically accurate, and there was no women or no people of color or whatever in that area or in that, in the military or whatever you're doing kind of thing, then there shouldn't probably be any in the game.
And again, the other point is that if you're going to write a review on a game and you're going to take points off for that, that is, I think, a little too much of a bias there. Yeah. Like, you can point it out. You can certainly say, this made me feel uncomfortable, or I didn't like this. But if that causes your review to be, a 2 out of 10, then how were you reviewing this game otherwise?
Exactly.
Like, I've said about a few games that something may be considered too polarizing or too controversial for you. But that doesn't become a factor of whether or not I say this gameplay is good or bad.
Yeah. And I mean, like, political stuff, I mean, like, I wouldn't say that you should never put it in there. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't put it in there unless it's specifically, in the game,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. But like you like you can't let your review be about that, and that's the problem with a lot of journalists nowadays. Is a lot of them aren't actually games journalists.
Mm-hmm.
They're more clickbaity, what's going to piss everybody off journalists, and let me figure out how to piss everybody off with
Mm-hmm.
this, review kind of thing.
Or this
And they're
title.
not, yeah, they're not trying to do a good review of the game or a review of the game either
Mm-hmm.
way. They're just trying to start some controversy
Mm-hmm.
and put, take a dump and just show it to everybody out in the public. Hey, look at that crap. I did that. And get paid for it,
Oh
which is the sad
yes.
thing.
And that's the part that I really love too. They actually get paid for some of these reviews or articles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm still annoyed that IGN turned down my article about Kaizo gameplay. And they never got back to me about that. Like, I would be fine if they would have posted something similar or had somebody else write, but to not talk about it at all, that's what pissed me off.
Kaizos aren't important. Hardly nobody buys kind of thing.
We need another
Let's make
top
a
10 fan theories on Game of Thrones.
yeah, or how X game is racist.
Mm-hmm. Or let's show 5 more speedrunning footage from like 2 years ago.
Yeah,
Let's see. Who else have we pissed off during this cast? China, Disney, Final Fantasy, Kingdom
Bethesda,
Hearts, IGN. Anything else?
journalist,
Okay.
uh,
Nobody plays Mario games or platformers.
Kaizos.
One, I gotta be careful because if I write another book about, yeah, we just started ranting. Zach, he left it, came back, and we're still ranting. One of these days, I'll do like an update to the platform, but I'll call it platformers by just by being conditioned, and then I'll get called out for it. Just like I'll call roguelikes rougelikes.
That's the same spelling.
Mm-hmm.
You might have to put an accent in there to properly convey it, though.
Mm-hmm.
The rude like.
There we go. But I think with that, let's wrap things up because we can certainly drill down to some future points for later episodes. So, I
It
do.
was only supposed to end 30 minutes ago because Josh started 30 minutes late.
Eh. I have a cough here. I can't be talking for 30 hours. I got 4 hours of streaming tonight to do, and we still have like 18 more indie games to play.
You mean 18 more demos, limited time demos?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We pissed off Steam too, and
Bethesda.
all the indies who submitted a demo for a limited time.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget Bethesda and Doom.
Mm-hmm.
And Microsoft and Denuvo.
Yeah, and hackers.
Mm-hmm. The only thing we didn't piss off was that game that we can't mention.
Yeah, actually, they're probably really loving us, right?
Oh yes. Oh yep, Animal Crossing
Yeah,
and Neo, God of War, Sekiro.
yeah.
We just relabel this stream the "Let's piss off the game industry" cast.
Yeah, let's piss off everybody who's related to the game industry cast.
There we go. Perfect.
Need to rename it that.
Alright, but I think that is going to do it. So, thank you everybody for watching this either live or recorded. If you're new, be sure to check out the Discord and Patreon link down below. If you would like to support Game Wisdom, especially with how things are getting more troublesome, be sure to check out the Patreon, and we also have PayPal open. If you want to follow me, you can find me on Twitter at GWBicer. What was that we should mention was reviews that are done. Yeah, I think that would get more into the whole buying off reviews. I think that could be its own topic. What do you think, Shark?
Yeah, buying off reviews could be its own topic.
Yeah.
Something we forgot to mention: we pissed off YouTubers.
Oh yeah, the whole YouTuber reaction thing. But we do that every week, so I think that's common now.
We pissed off ourselves too.
There we go. And we gave Shark aneurysms.
Yeah, which pissed me off.
Mm-hmm. But you can follow me on Twitter at GWBicer and check out game-wisdom.com for my posts and more. But where can people find you, Sharky?
Well, you can find me mainly on Discord, which link is down below. You can also find me on Twitter and YouTube, which the links are also down below. And you can come follow and see our next dev chat on Discord. What was the date? April 4th, which will probably be our biggest and most epic dev chat
72 hours right there.
It'll probably be like 5 because dinner and everything. But like, there will be a lot of stuff.
For that was just like that game I played last night. I didn't have a way to exit from the menu. It's the perfect way to make a video game. You can't exit the game once you turn it on.
Yeah, it's like the SAO video games right there.
Perfect.
Once you join, you can't leave.
And Shark is going to post the game that we can't name on his channel, so I don't get in trouble for having it on mine.
You won't get in trouble anyway.
Mm-hmm. But my channel is supposed to be PG-13. That would not be PG-13.
But yeah, if you wanna see that game that we about all this time that we couldn't show, join my Discord, and it'll be a not safe for work chat.
There you go. That's how you get people to join, with all the spicy stuff.
There we go. People are going to join for the spice.
Yep. And they join my channel for all the memes.
Yeah, they I think there's more memes on my Discord channel.
All right, but that is going. We'll be back next Sunday around 4 p.m. EDT for our next stream, and we also have. Let me see. We should have 2 dev live streams coming up this week for those of you watching this live, and I'll let you know about that on the Discord channel. But have a great rest of your Sunday. Stay safe and all that, and we'll be back next week, barring the complete breakdown of society. So have a great rest of your week, folks. That's our happy tune to end this cast on.
Or maybe we'll be back next week because of the complete breakdown of society.
Yeah, it's not going to affect us, right? People will be like driving like Mad Max cars outside while we're trying to have a dev chat.
As long as the internet's still up, it won't affect us. I mean, we'll have cash. You'll be able to hear grenades getting thrown in the background and everything. It's like don't worry about that noise. It's just the end of the world kind
I'll
of thing.
look like a Mad Max.
Yeah, you get some like makeup and everything all over your face. Black paint and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to get a new avatar. Post-apocalyptic avatar. With the virus looming.
There we go. Yeah. All right. But let's end things here before my headset really dies. So have a great rest of your night, folks, and we will see you all next week.
See ya.